So I'm not quite sure whether this is in the correct box or not. I'm making an assumption this is a Röwa supermodel, or maybe that's Röwa, I'm not quite sure. What we have here is an HO scale Deutsche Bahn wagon. This box I think is missing the internal packaging because this wagon is free just to roll back and forward on here, and there's not much holding this packaging together because this just lifts off like this. But it certainly allows you easy access to the model. I do like this idea of having a moulded plastic bottom to your packaging which has got a piece of track in it. That's quite cool. So here is the model out of the box, and I actually think this is quite a detailed model. If it is indeed a Röwa model, this is getting on a bit in age, but it certainly looks quite cool in my eyes. We have this simple open chassis moulded in black plastic, and we have two of these brown aggregate containers on top of here. So these two containers actually do lift off from the chassis. They're just moulded in this brown plastic. They do look quite convincing. They simply pull off the chassis and they even open up as well. So obviously this part here has been added in from the factory, but you could put in anything into here to change the load if you wanted to. But the fact that this opens up is actually really quite cool. There is some really nice printing on the side here. These logos are printed very clearly. They're quite small though, you can barely see them with the naked eye. And it does look like there's a little bit of a moulding issue down the side here. Perhaps it's a limitation of the plastic mould that they used. Underneath it's not very nice looking, but you probably wouldn't see that most of the time. And now with one of these off the chassis you can see more detail, and it is quite a nice moulding of the chassis. It is an open frame and it has been done very well, I think. It even has some articulation on the coupling here, and you can see the mechanism underneath there. But down the side of the chassis there is an awful lot of printed details here. You can see the Deutsche Bahn logo there and other bits and pieces that are needed on the side of this wagon. It's quite impressive, very clear, and the spring detail, axle boxes and brake gear is also very well reproduced and looks really good. The brakes are in line with the wheels. We do have plastic wheels here, but they have metal axles and they're very free rolling as well. There's even some brake gear added in underneath here as well. I think that's an extra part. There's no provision to change the couplings. They're not in NEM pockets. They're made of plastic and they have these little metal parts here. So it's a very interesting wagon and quite a neat design as well. Let's see how much this weighs. I'll put it on the scales. So this wagon weighs 75 grams. So I'm very impressed with this wagon. I think it's got a lot of detail on it, especially the chassis. It's got some fine moulding there with handrails, little steps, and that printing on it is fantastic as well. These containers on it are quite unusual, and the fact that you can actually just lift them off and open them up just gives this wagon this little edge that makes it something a little bit more special than the average thing. It gives you a couple of options to either run it empty or loaded with these containers, and you could also change those loads for something else, maybe gravel or coal or whatever it is you fancy, and that could be done very easily. So there's a lot of options with this wagon. I'm not quite sure of the age of this model. I'm guessing it's an 80s model, but you wouldn't think it from the chassis. It's certainly right up there compared to today's models, and it gives you a lot of options as well. So let me know what you thought about my analysis of this model in the comments below. I'd really like to know what you think as well. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's always really appreciated. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around, and I'll put a link to another video on screen around about now so that you can click that and watch that too. Thanks for watching this one. See ya!